let's talk about the big year that you had. Obviously, you had some great years at the Rangers, but as a team, the 71-72 season was the biggest that you had. You guys made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, lost to Boston 4-2. But let's talk about that whole season. Did you know when you first started, did you guys have great chemistry right out of the gate? And, September, October, November to think we got a chance to go all the way with this team? Or was it something that developed over the year?
No, at that time, Emil built the club he wanted. We knew at the beginning, right in training camp, that we had the guys prepared to do anything. Our goaltenders were fighters. Eddie Giacomin, he'd tangle with anybody. He wanted to win so bad. Our defense was led by Brad. We had Chiefy Cat. Dale Rolfe was there now. Two big guys that could skate. And then we had 4 lines, which was really unique. 3 that played a lot. And in those days, to have 3 solid lines with different job descriptions was unique. Because I think today in hockey, you need 4 lines, but they all got to contribute. You just can't throw them out once in a while. So the 3 lines that we had, I believe, with the defensive core we had, and Brad was like a Bobby Orr. Brad could bring the puck up ice like nobody else, and that was strange in the old days. A lot of times, defensemen weren't bringing the puck up the ice because they couldn't get back quick enough. So we had good goaltending. We had big, tall defensemen. We had a good system. We had a want, and then you had Jean Ratelle and Rod and Vic. You had a good combination. Vic was tough as nails. Rod was classy. Johnny was Mr. Hockey. Good line, playing all important things, score key goals, and we knew it. Then you had Walt Tkazcuk and Vickers and Billy Fairbairn, the Bulldog line. Like Billy and Walter, Emil Francis always said, hockey's the only game you can't run out of bounds. Those 2 guys, Billy Fairbairn must have been hit 10,000 times a game into the boards. His specialty was he was just going to take the puck. So he was a grinder. Walter was a grinder. Walter was one of those guys like Sidney Crosby today, that his trunk of his body was all weight. And when he hit you, he just about killed you. And then Steve Vickers was just a great guy, could score goals. We call him 3.2. He stood in front of the net. He let Billy and Walter work their buns off. Sarge would score, and a good fighter. Then we're lucky. I ended up with Bruce MacGregor, who'd come in from Detroit, Stemmer, who'd come in from Toronto and Detroit, and myself, and we hit it off. We were a responsible defensive line, and we could play the body. And not so much Murdoch, but Stemmer and myself. Then you threw in a couple other guys after that. We had Bobby Rousseau from the Montreal Canadiens would come into play. Then we had some young guys like Gene Carr would come up and Jack Eagers, and then some of the other guys. So our first 3 lines could play all circumstances all the time. So we had a good rounding team. The biggest thing about the Rangers was they would try to run you out of the building, but we had a club at that time that we could handle ourselves. And all the guys participated. And the biggest thing with any team is you participated with everybody. If Rod Seiling got into trouble, you helped them out, because every team would try to pick out your weak link. And we played Boston. Boston Bruins said, let's hit Seiling. And we knew we had to jump in right away. Okay. That made us a close team. Emil Francis believed in us, and we knew that, and that helped a lot because we knew that he was on our side. What he did, he implemented 10-game series. So many points, I'll give you so many dollars. How many points can you get? So we had mini series all along. You've seen it in basketball today. They're playing a mini series during the year. So we had goals, we had the fan support, and we were a close team. I mean, to this day, we still talk a lot to each other, and been down a couple of times for sweater hanging. Guys go right back. We were lucky. But our keys were Jean Ratelle, because Johnny was just one of those guys that didn't say much, but boy, he could get the point, he could get the goal, he'd get the assist. And in the dressing room, he was just one of the most classiest guys ever. So no, knew we had a chance that year. We knew Boston was the start, kind of like the Philadelphia. They were going to run us. But we hung in there pretty good. So on the road, during the year, it was always a battle. Kenny Hodge, Stemkowski, 2 big men at that time, 220, 230, throwing punches. Cashman trying to chop our heads off, going after Eddie Giacomin,
Right.
Eddie Giacomin had a hatred about him in Boston. He loved driving them nuts. And we'd say, Eddie, be quiet, please. His brother was at one game. Rolly Giacomin was a miner from Sudbury. Eddie got in a brawl. Fans were cheering, kill Giacomin, kill Giacomin. And Rolly was up in the stands in Boston, turned to one fan and said, shut up, that's my brother. He says, you're a Giacomin? He says, yeah. Reached over and grabbed Rolly Giacomin by the hair. Rolly had a hairpiece. The guy grabbed the hairpiece, lifted the hairpiece up. Rolly decked the guy. Next period, Rolly's with the police in our dressing room. He said, what are you doing? Decked the guy. He yelled at you, Eddie. We had just a good camaraderie. Our fans were good. So just a closeness. So, yeah, we were there. We were right there.
You know, it's interesting because I'm looking, you know, you're talking about from a team standpoint. You mentioned how close you were. You guys had 10 players with double-digit scoring on this squad. Now, it wasn't your best year from a goal scoring standpoint, but you still got 15 goals. You got Stemkowski with 11, MacGregor, Rousseau, Fairbairn, Tkazcuk, Park, Gilbert, Hadfield, and Jean Ratelle. And Hadfield and Ratelle and Gilbert are 50 goals, 46 and 43. So that's some big goal scoring. And the fact that you have Stemkowski with 11 and everybody else in between, that's some great depth on this team.
Well, it's a very good point. But you're not a team unless each player realizes the other guy's just as important. And that was the beauty of our team. Jean Ratelle, again, he was the John Belleville of the United States for us, the classy man. I told you, when I got to New York, I wasn't supposed to make the team after the first year. They had me rooming with the minor leagues. I'd scored 1 goal that year when I got traded to New York. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I was going to make the team. In training camp, I told you, who am I going to hit? I got to make this team. So I ran Jean Ratelle, nicest guy in the world. He decked me. Go to the dressing room, go back to my room. I'm devastated. One is failure, get knocked down by the nicest guy. He knocked on the door and said, Teddy, you keep doing that. I said, Johnny, I'm embarrassed. I said, I got 1 goal last year. And he said, Teddy, it was a beauty. Keep doing it. So he included me of all the guys. I walked out of that dress. We played Boston next game. I remember Johnny McKenzie used to be the disturber in Boston. I remember sitting on top of him. He tried to scratch my eyes out, and I went nuts. And he said, "You're on drugs. You're trying to kill me." After Jean Ratelle said, "We need that, Teddy." So I had a role to play. I didn't have to score 50 goals. And so that's the closeness. And that's what a championship team does. They get close together and everybody's got a role to play. Even the guys that come up from the minors, play for injured guys. And you got to let them play their role and you got to make them welcome.